possible realities in the dream other than this one. Different scenarios.
Yeah. I mean, the point is that a lucid dreamer is supposed to be able to eventually create their own dream scenarios and do. I mean, according to this book I have, which we could expand upon another time, by Stephen LeBerg, PhD, and Howard Rheingold, Exploring the World of Lucid Dreaming. And this book came to me when I got the Lucid Dreaming Mask. I've never been able to cozy up to the book. For some reason, it's just eluded me over the years because I don't have the proper time to dedicate to a dream journal and to a proper lucid dream cycle where I'm trying to do it almost on a nightly basis, because that's the only way you get good at it is when you do it consistently. And there's some people finding it that find it easy to do, and other people who find it challenging. And I'm one of those, unfortunately.
And I remember at a time that I was doing it, I was meditating for at least 20 to 30 minutes before I went to bed, and
that's supposed to have an effect too.
That had an effect.
It did have an effect. What has been your lucid dreaming experience? Have you had
I have maybe 40 good pages of dreams that I wrote down from my dream journal.
But are those lucid dreams?
I have to look at the dream.
Well, you would
dream over again.
Well, you would know the difference. There's a massive difference in a lucid dream versus a regular dream. You wouldn't have to think about it. Like these dreams, I know, I definitely remember. So back into this book, Exploring the World of Lucid Dreaming by Stephen LeBerg, PhD, and Howard Rheingold. Okay, it's known as a step-by-step guide by the best-selling author of Lucid Dreaming, which I guess is it's a predecessor or something. Perhaps this is a sequel to that. I didn't get into the forward, but Awakening at Will. All right, someone comments, my first lucid dream arose from my discovery as a child of 5 that I could wake myself from frightening dreams by trying to shout mother. Now this is another quote here. I have found a paradoxical sounding but simple technique for waking at will. Fall asleep to wake up. In quotes. Fall asleep to wake up. Whenever I decide I want to awaken from a lucid dream, I simply lie down on the nearest dream bed, couch, or cloud, shut my dream eyes, and go to sleep. The usual result is that I immediately wake up, but sometimes I only dream that I wake up. And that's, he doesn't have this written here, but that's a false awakening. Okay? A false awakening is when you believe that you've woken up because you're in a dream of your bedroom. So it can be very disorienting. It goes on, and when I realize I'm still dreaming, I try to wake up for real, quote unquote, sometimes succeeding at once, sometimes only after an amusing sequence of false awakenings. As you see, he uses that terminology. That's BK Palo Alto, California. Okay? Now, false awakenings are a phenomena where it shows the layer of awareness versus consciousness. Like, my reckoning, the soul is the appetites, and they're spinning in wheels. So when you get tired, you need to rest. So that's a whole cycle unto itself. Awareness is like your sensorium. And there's wakefulness and there's sleep, you know. And your consciousness is the regulator of wakefulness and sleep, where it's at different levels. And your false awakening shows the nature of your dreaming body, your somnific body versus your waking body, and how one is inside of the other. But the point is both are inside a wormhole sensorium, which is bright and dim, and bright and dim through consciousness, which is awake and sleep. And it's a big deal because you can even fall asleep as this is a renowned dream researcher. You can fall asleep within your dream and dream within a dream.
That's very true. That happened to me before.
So that's the very essence of, it says, the main point of this is it's telling you, wake at will. In other words, you can wake in your dream and have more of a more subtle interaction within that dream. But you could also fall asleep within your dream and go back down. And that breeds false awakenings. So the article that we tended to before went on to detail how we could be glimpsing parallel universes. So every time you wake and sleep, it's an edit. It's like a time travel for your senses. Whereas the soul is like a time travel for your appetites, through your spirit natures, your chakras, your anatomy. We've learned something a little bit here today about the terminology of how your sensorium is blinking in and out.
Just like how we can attract different things, different items, and everything else, and it's like we're connected.
Yes. Yeah, and they say that that's the case through the atomic field. I mean, there's different there's different branches of science, different orthodoxies, different counter-orthodoxies. I mean, by and large, materialist science doesn't even try to cover this stuff. But there are scientific minds that are studying awareness. These guys in particular, Atma Goswami, there's a bunch of people. And again, we were reading from, just for the sake of credit, we were reading from Exploring the World of Lucid Dreaming by Stephen LeBurk, PhD, and Howard Rheingold.
And on that note, let's do some plugs for our brands.
That's a very good idea. You first.
I would have to say a few things that I would like to plug, but one major plug in particular, and that is for A Soul Warrior's Journey. Soul Warrior's Journey is a book that is written by Joseph Vivaldi, and that is going to be narrated by Andrew Garrett, and it is a book about Joseph Woods, who has addiction problems, bumps into an acupuncturist, and he helps unlock some of his past life memories, and he does it through where he gets him to meditate, and even has dream recognition, where the point where he's able to deal with social interactions with his friends who are against him. And also, there's a part 2 to the book too. Very good.
Interesting. I've read pieces and I'm looking forward to reading more.
And one more thing I like to plug is the Ricky and Wolfman show with Ricky and Wolfman. It's on the Joseph Vivaldi Network now, and for those who've been listening, we've been going over Back to the Future, analyzing it in detail by Robert Zemeckis, and
it's a very special movie for the Wolfman, and I always dug the trilogy. I was big into Back to the Future 2 when I was a kid. I dig 3, and one's a masterpiece, but Ricky and Wolfman are just going through that classic trilogy and bringing their own brand of madcap hilarity and analysis to it. And so far, it's been a lot of fun going through that. If it's any sign of a thing to come, we'll probably finish that trilogy and start looking at other trilogies in the landscape.
Yeah, and maybe around November, we'll have the last episode of that series, and it would be around the November 7th time. So,
assuming we can continue the schedule, but this is all fluff and butterflies. Who knows? I'm having so much fun doing it that I don't see why not. We should be able to get it by then. So that's the Joseph Vivaldi brand, the Joseph Vivaldi podcast, the Joseph Vivaldi blog, the Joseph Vivaldi way of life. He paints, he writes, check out his stuff, Spreaker.com, Amazon.com, the usual suspects. It's worth checking out. And I'm Ricky Bearhart. This is Spiritus Holographica. We talk about parallel realities and some silly stuff. Sometimes it's rooted far more historic, sometimes it's a little bit more fringy, but it's always an interesting ride. I am an emissary from the Okeanos Network, who is a friendly parallel brand to the Joseph Vivaldi brand. And the Okeanos Network features the creative writing and work of Richard Andrew Olkus. We have such shows as Olkus Eternity, which is the audiobook of his novel, which is coming up soon. On Quantum Posy, we have not only poetry readings, but recently the spoken word icon, Machinations of the Cybernetic Phantom God, from the aughts. The spoken word CD, it was consigned at some record stores, featured at some open mic nights, but by and large, it was very, very, the reception was underwhelming, to say the least. But if you listen to it, it's got a great thing that it brings to the table as far as the vibe, and it's not for the faint of heart. It's really, really crazy stuff. But a once-in-a-lifetime spoken word experience. And lastly, the channel Temporality Shadow, where Twilight Cricket reads into a spirit radio who acts as host of the show. It's designated Wormhole Arcananon 1. And Twilight Cricket reads into the device, and the device is then allowed to sweep. And when you do playback and you slow it down, you can start to hear some vocal anomalies. It's a pretty interesting situation. It's meant for believers and skeptics alike. So it brings something to the table, and it is a legitimate record recorded there, bringing these anomalies into your podcasting world. The Okeanos Network, audiobooks, poetry, the paranormal, a creative baptism for every day. Go check out Spreaker.com.
Yeah, very good, Ricky. Those are very good stuff.
Dig it, man. Dig it. It's likewise with you. All that stuff is great for podcasters. Anybody who digs that stuff should check it out. It's all real interesting stuff.
Yeah.
And we're back to Spiritus Holographica here.
Okay, I'm going to discuss about a little bit about Roosevelt. And in 1902, he ended the coal strike. And for anybody who knows about coal back then, without coal, their houses would have not been heated. Therefore, if they were cold and they were without coal, they might have lost lives along the way. His ending the strike caused that not to happen. And if he wasn't around, many lives would have been lost.
Because of that misunderstanding, I suppose. I'm not familiar with the historic applications. I only know most houses in the country had coal chambers because that was their chief source of heating during the winter, was coal furnace. And you had a specific part of your house called a coal chamber. I was talking to my grandma about that a number of years ago. She passed away, but she had that coal chamber. She was very late to convert anything over. So he did that, and he did a lot of stuff to break up monopolies, but Roosevelt once had, there was an assassination attempt made against him. On October 14th, 1912, while campaigning in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, this according to Wikipedia, Roosevelt was shot by a saloon keeper named John Flaming Schrank. The bullet lodged in his chest after penetrating his steel eyeglass case.